Jai Jinendra, welcome to one and all our 26th session and very good evening. Also very good morning to our family in the US. कल का experience मजेदार था और आज का we will try to do it more interesting. आज हमारे साथ अमेरिका से मिस्टर क्लिंट जॉनसन मौजूद है और अपना सब्जेक्ट है जैन बाय बर्थ और जैन बाय कॉन्डक्ट. बाय कॉन्डक्ट विषय पे बात करने वाले हैं. आज का बहुत ही इंटरेस्टिंग टॉपिक होगा. थैंक यू मिस्टर क्लिंट जॉनसन फॉर जॉइनिंग us in spite of the time difference, and we really appreciate that how last 4 years you have understood Jainism, read the scripture, and we wanted to know what is a single point, of course, that you will speak. I just wanted to don't want to go on and on and on. COVID के समय पे हमारे साथ इस जैन टॉक प्लेटफॉर्म पर जुड़ने के लिए आपको धन्यवाद. एंड जय जिनेंद्र, क्लिंट जॉनसन. हमारे मॉडरेटर रहेंगे दर्शन राठौड़, जो अपने आप में एक बहुत ही सक्सेसफुल एंटरप्रेन्योर है. उन्होंने काफी कुछ अपने जीवन में अचीव किया है. अक्यूमेन एडवाइजर है, की फाउंडर है, डायरेक्टर है. उनको बैंकिंग, फाइनेंस, इंडस्ट्रियलाइजेशन, एंटरप्रेन्योरशिप, इनके सारे सेक्टर के विज्ञान कहने का तो भी गलत नहीं होगा. इधर थोड़ा दर्शन के बारे में मैं कहना चाहूंगा. दर्शन और मैंने साथ में काम किया है और दर्शन मेरा भांजा भी है और मैं उनका मामा हूँ, विच इज अ डिस्क्लोजर टुडे. दर्शन मामा से भी काफी आगे जा चुके हैं और वो अपने आप में एक एक्सपर्ट एंटरप्रेन्योर भी है. बट आज का विषय है कि दर्शन इतना कुछ सब कुछ पाने के बाद में भी उनके फैमिली और इंटरेस्ट रहते हुए भी क्यों उन्होंने जैन शास्त्र और जैनिज्म पे इतना इंटरेस्ट क्यों नहीं लिया. तो एक बड़ा ही इंटरेस्टिंग टॉपिक होगा. एक से क्लिंट जॉनसन, जो मैं कोशिश कर रहा हूँ कि क्यों वो टर्न हो गए और दर्शन को इतना कहने के बाद, सब कुछ मिलने के बाद भी क्यों दर्शन अपने इस जैन शास्त्र में, क्या कारण है, क्या चीजें ऐसी करनी चाहिए हमको युवाओं को जोड़ने के लिए. तो एक अलग इंटरेस्टिंग हमने लाने का कोशिश किया है. ऑफकोर्स हमारे प्यारे नील भाई भी हमारे साथ है, बट आज उनका भी सेशन बहुत ही इंटरेस्टिंग रहेगा बिकॉज उन्होंने जो कल कहा था सेपियंस और आगम, और उनका बहुत ही इंटरेस्टिंग रहेगा. he will try to take today each para of the Sapiens and say what it was there in the Agam. Anyhow, he will cover it. I'm sure Neil is the best to leave it to that. और आप सभी लोगों का प्यार, उत्साह, ये सब मुमकिन नहीं होता. ऐसे हमारे साथ हमसे जुड़े हुए रहिए और अपना जैन जर्नल को बढ़ने में आपका सहकार जरूरी है. जय जिनेंद्र. थैंक यू. ऑल योर्स दर्शन एंड क्लिंट जॉनसन.
Right. Thank you. Neil bhai and Ramesh bhai, thank you very much. Ramesh bhai, I mean, it's an honor, to be honest. And I think you did mention about, आपने कहा कि मैं आपसे ज़्यादा सक्सेस जा चुका हूँ. ये मैं मानूंगा नहीं, बट ये जरूर उस टॉपिक पे हम एक अलग सेशन करेंगे. जैसे आपके से कितना सीखने को अभी भी बाकी है, बट अभी का सेशन आई थिंक क्लिंट के साथ जो करने वाले हैं, मैं यही देख रहा था. हम लोग वो बात भी कर रहे थे कि ये सेशन में कितने लोग इंग्लिश जान सकेंगे, कितने लोग हिंदी जान सकेंगे, क्योंकि क्लिंट हिंदी बात नहीं कर सकते हैं. तो मेरे को उनसे जो बात करनी होगी वो मेरे को इंग्लिश में बात करनी होगी. एंड जहाँ होगा मैं कॉन्वर्सेशन को तोड़ना ना चाहूंगा, तो कुछ बीच में मैं हिंदी में कुछ चीजें बताऊंगा जो क्लिंट की बातें हैं, जो सो दैट ऑडियंस में जिनको इंग्लिश इतना कंफर्टेबल नहीं है उनको एटलीस्ट वो चीज पहुंचा सकूं मैं. तो मेरा रोल ये रहेगा. तो उसके पहले मैं सिर्फ एक थोड़ा कुछ कहना चाहूंगा कि मेरा मामा जी ने जब रमेश भाई ने जब सवेरे फोन किया कि ये सेशन को मॉडरेट करना है, तो मेरा पहला रिएक्शन ऐसे था कि मैं थोड़ा सा एम्बैरेस रहूंगा, बिकॉज जैसे रमेश भाई ने कहा कि जन्म तो जैन हुआ है, बट जैनिज्म ज्यादा फॉलो नहीं करते हैं. तो मैंने पहले सोचा कि ये कॉल जब इस पे 100-150 लोग रहेंगे तो मेरे लिए एम्बैरेसमेंट होगा क्या, बट मैंने सोचा इसको एम्बैरेसमेंट छोड़ के हम इस क्लिंट से ये चीज से क्या सीख सकते हैं. ये चीज मैंने सोचा कि इससे हम ले वापस. तो इसलिए फिर मैंने सोचा कि मैं इस चीज को मॉडरेट कर लूं. तो शुक्रिया रमेश भाई. तो मेरा एक्चुअली हमेशा यही रहा है कि जब रमेश भाई ने सवेरे फोन किया कि मैं खुद जैन स्क्रिप्चर्स पढ़ता क्यों नहीं हूँ करके, तो इंस्पाइट ऑफ कि मैं जैन जन्म हुआ है, मेरी माता बहुत बड़ी धार्मिक है, तो भी मेरे में जैन वो रिलीजन पढ़ने का जैनिज्म के फिलोसफी पढ़ने का उत्साह क्यों नहीं हुआ। तो उसके ऊपर मैंने कुछ मेरे कुछ थॉट्स रहे कि ये सवाल ये है कि क्या मुझे कभी सही गुरु नहीं मिला, क्या ऐसा है कि मैं जैसे मामा जी ने कहा कि एंटरप्रेन्योरशिप धंधा करने के इसमें बहुत बिजी रह गया, या फिर मुझे लगता था कि जैनिज्म बहुत कॉम्प्लिकेटेड है, या फिर मुझे लगता था कि खूब स्ट्रिक्ट है जैनिज्म की जो फॉलो करना है। इतना कभी कभी ऐसे लगता है कि ह्यूमन को पॉसिबल भी है या नहीं, वो कभी कभी एक सवाल आ जाता है कि इतना स्ट्रिक्ट फॉलो करना पॉसिबल भी है क्या। फिर कभी मुझे लगा कि ऐसा है कि शायद मेरे में ही कुछ कमी रह रही है कि एक रिजॉल्व नहीं है कि मुझे जैनिज्म का पढ़ना है। तो ऐसे खूब सारे सवाल आने लगे, मैं खुद को पूछने लगा। तो कभी ऐसे होता है कि जैनिज्म में हर रिचुअल जो फॉलो करते हैं उसको हर चीज को बहुत जस्टिफिकेशन देते हैं, खूब लॉजिक लगाते हैं। तो कभी कभी वो होता है कि वो जस्टिफिकेशन लॉजिक इतना ज्यादा हो जाता है कि वो श्रद्धा छोड़ के फिर वो डिस्कशन में चले जाते हैं कि वो लॉजिक को कैसे हम आर्ग्यूमेंट में कन्वर्ट कर दें। या कभी ऐसे हो जाता है कि कभी बात ऐसे हो जाती है कि खूब प्रेशर हो जाता है रिचुअल फॉलो करने के लिए, इतना ज्यादा हो जाता है कभी कभी हम खुद ही सोचते हैं कि इतना रिचुअल फॉलो करना है तो मुझे करना ही नहीं है जैनिज्म को फॉलो। तो वो भी कभी एक सवाल आ जाता है। कभी ऐसे होता है कि मेरे को ये सवाल बहुत बार आ चुका है कि जैन स्क्रिप्चर्स जब पढ़ने होते हैं, सरमन पढ़ने होते, बहुत सारे जो सरमन होते हैं कि उसमें लैंग्वेज का एक बैरियर आ जाता है। आई मीन लैंग्वेज का भी बैरियर आ जाता है क्योंकि खूब सारे स्क्रिप्चर्स जो होते हैं वो संस्कृत में होते हैं, पाली में है, गुजराती में होते हैं। खूब सारे जो व्याख्यान होते हैं अपने वो गुजराती में होते हैं जो समझ नहीं आते हैं। क्या वो रीजन है कि जिसके कारण मैं जुड़ा नहीं हूँ? मैं एक्चुअली ये नहीं कहना चाह रहा हूँ कि मैं क्या क्या रीजन है कि मैं क्यों जैनिज्म का पढ़ना नहीं चाहता हूँ। मैं शायद ये भी निकालने जा रहा हूँ कि आज अगर जो ऑडियंस में बैठे हैं, आई एम श्योर कि इनमें से कुछ कुछ सवाल उनको भी आ रहे होंगे कि वो भी क्यों नहीं ये चीज फॉलो करना चाह रहे हैं। तो जैसे कभी कभी होता है कि जैनिज्म में नंबर्स के ऊपर खूब ज्यादा जरूरत से ज्यादा फोकस हो जाता है। ऐसे लगता है कि ये अच्छा कर्म करोगे तो इतने कोड़ा कोड़ी वर्षों का तुमको भला होगा, ये करोगे तो आपको 100 वर्ष का नारकी का आयुष्य टूट जाएगा। तो कभी कभी लगता है कि वो नंबर्स पे बहुत ज्यादा फोकस भी हो जाता है। या फिर जैसे मेरे माता हमेशा कहती है कि शायद दर्शनावर्णीय कर्म ही शायद खूब ज्यादा है मेरे इसमें। तो दर्शनावर्णीय कर्म के कारण मैं जैनिज्म को ना फॉलो कर पा रहा हूँ, वो भी हो सकता है। तो इस चीज को लेके मैं सोच रहा था कि मेरा एक्चुअली कुछ अच्छा भाग्य हुआ था कि गए 6-8 महीने में, साल भर में खूब अच्छे अच्छे गुरु महाराज से मेरा भी संपर्क हुआ। कीर्ति सुरेश्वर जी महाराज साहब, उनके डिसाइपल है सम्यक यश विजय जी महाराज साहब, जो खूब अच्छी इंग्लिश बात करते हैं, खूब इंग्लिश पढ़ते हैं। तो उनके साथ मेरा खूब अच्छा इंटरेक्शन हुआ था। फिर मुक्ति प्राप्त सुरेश्वर जी आए थे हमारे यहाँ, वो उनका भी खूब अच्छा प्रभाव रहा। हित रत्न महाराज साहब हमारे यहाँ है, उनके साथ मैं 3-4 बार मिल चुका हूँ। और हमारे घर भव्य रत्न श्री जी महाराज साहब हमारे घर रह के गए हुए हैं, तो उनका भी थोड़ा प्रभाव रहा है। तो मेरा ऐसा रहा है कि इन कुछ कुछ गुरु महाराज से जब मेरा इंटरेक्शन रहा है तो मुझे खूब अच्छा लगा, बिकॉज मुझे ऐसा लगा कि उन्होंने मुझे समझा, मेरे थॉट प्रोसेस को समझा, मेरे सवालों को समझा। एंड उन्होंने मेरे जैनिज्म को के रिचुअल ना मानने के इग्नोरेंस को इग्नोर कर दिया। एंड उन्होंने ये नहीं पूछा कि तुमको लोगों सब पढ़ना आता है, उन्होंने ये नहीं पूछा कि तुम रोज हो क्या, पर उन्हें ये देखा कि ये रिचुअल्स के बाहर मैं क्या सोचता हूँ जैनिज्म के बारे में। तो मैंने कुछ चीजें अहिंसा, अनेकांतवाद, अपरिग्रह के बारे में कुछ बताई। तो उन्होंने सोचा कि ये होता है कि एक रिचुअल्स फॉलो करने होते हैं, हम जो बोलते हैं भाव पूजा जो फॉलो करना होता है, तो हम वो छोड़ के ये सब चीजें जो है तुम ऑलरेडी फॉलो करे तो अच्छी बात है, बट रिचुअल्स भी करना जरूरी है, ऐसे उन्होंने कहा था। तो मैं यही एक्चुअली आज के कॉल में समझना चाहता हूँ क्लिंट से कि ऐसे क्या है जैनिज्म के बारे में जिसके कारण उनको काफी एक्साइटमेंट रही है। So basically, Clint, what I have been actually trying to understand, on the call, I was trying to give a quick brief in Hindi, just to tell people in terms of framing the question in their mind, in terms of why we, in spite of being born Jain, why we've not been as attracted to Jain scriptures when we have so much of access. We have so much of access to good books. We have so much of access to good, religious leaders to give us some good, very good knowledge about Jainism. And what is it that where you have such a scarcity of the kind of people to interact with? to be able to still be attracted towards Jainism. So I'll start the question, Clint, by saying that, to be honest, you've given me a personal guilt, to be honest, by following so much of Jainism. So I want to understand that, whether you are not guilty of moving away from Christianity, right? So you have moved away from a religion you were born in, right? So, so is there a guilt you have? So, I have. So, what are your initial thoughts around it? Yeah.
Okay, so thank you for having me, you guys. This is definitely an honor, and Jajan to everyone. So I think that what we were discussing before was that I did grow up in a pretty conservative Christian religion that has a lot of moral principles and guidelines and everything like that. So I did appreciate that aspect of Christianity, and I don't have anything against Christianity or anything like that. But I think what happened was that I really decided to make the religion my own and to understand it well, to be able to speak to people about it and things like that. So I really started studying and researching. And, from youth, I was taught that the religion that I was in was the only truth, was the absolute truth. It was a perfect truth. But I was also taught not to question the truth at all, because it was the truth. So why would you question it? So when I did start researching, honestly, looking, just to understand my own faith better, there was a lot of questions that came up. So when I did start researching, I had a lot of questions, and I assumed that my friends and other members of the church would be able to answer those questions for me, because if you have the truth, then of course you can answer any question. But I actually found the opposite. When I started asking questions, I had a reaction of kind of, well, why are you asking questions? You know this is the truth, so why would you question if it's the truth? And I wasn't insincere in my questioning, but it was disappointing that I couldn't get the answers to what I wanted. So from there, I continued to research and to look into different Christian communities and even different religions in time. So that's where I started, really, if that answers your question.
Right. So एकदम संक्षिप्त में बताया तो क्लिंट को काफी सवाल थे जब भी उसको सवाल आए रिलीजन के बारे में, तो वो जब भी उनके गुरु के पास गए कुछ सवाल पूछने के लिए, तो उन्होंने कभी बोला कि तुम ये सवाल क्यों पूछ रहे हो, कि ये कहा गया है और यही सच है, तुम ये सच को क्वेश्चन नहीं कर सकते. तो जब ये कहना शुरू किया, तब जाके क्लिंट ने कहा कि ये सही नहीं है, मुझे ऐसा कोई फिलोसफी या ऐसा कोई स्पिरिचुअलिटी में मुझे कनेक्ट होना है जहां मैं जब कुछ सवाल करूं तो उस चीज का मुझे ऐसे कोई ना बोले मुझे कि आप सवाल क्यों कर रहे हो, मुझे उसके आंसर्स ढूंढने हैं, और वो आंसर्स में मुझे मदद कर पाए, वो चीज के लिए वो जैनिज्म में अट्रैक्ट हुए. तो क्लिंट का ये व्यू के कारण क्लिंट जैनिज्म के ऊपर जैनिज्म से जुड़ गए. आई मीन, सो मुझे लगता है ये बहुत अच्छी बात है, बहुत समझदार है, बहुत डीप बात है कि हम समझते नहीं है जैनिज्म का ग्रेटनेस, कि हमारे धर्म में सवाल पूछने का एक्चुअली काफी ये दिया होता है. आई मीन, काफी फ्लेक्सिबिलिटी दी होती है, हम सवाल पूछ सकते हैं क्योंकि हर चीज का एक जवाब होता है, एंड ऐसे जरूरी नहीं है कि यही सच है, उसका एक मल्टीप्लिसिटी व्यू भी मिल जाता है. So I think so Clint, that's great, and I think you did answer my second question as well, as about what attracted you to Jainism, so which I think was linked to the first question itself. So another thing is, that since you were born in a very Orthodox Christian family, is what you mentioned, and that too in the US, was it too difficult for you to follow Jainism?
And back to the original question, I looked at almost all major religions. I studied, I got in contact with their followers, I read their books. I was very, very dedicated, but I also have a very skeptical viewpoint, and I don't like an answer unless I can prove it myself, unless I can see it with my own nature. So I didn't just accept any answer that was given to me. And one thing that I found about the Jain community and the Jain text is they don't shy away from questions. They they embrace them because they are confident with their answers. So that really is the main thing that brought me to a real appreciation for Jainism in the first place, was their welcoming of questions, but not only that, but their ability to answer almost all questions that I've had. And, I've had a lot of doubts, but, with a few conversations or some reading, I've been able to overcome all my doubts. And I'm still trying to find something that I can overcome the Jains with and say, well, I don't think you're right on this, but I've yet to find that, but I won't give up trying. And okay, so now I forget your second question. Well, can you repeat the second question, please?
No, so it was just about this, that, since you were born in a Christian family back in the US, right? So was it too difficult for you to follow Jainism? So that's...
Yeah, so I mean, in a way, it has not been difficult because I think it's in line with human nature. It's in line with the nature of our cosmos. The basic principles of Jainism are universal, and I don't believe that they really can belong to only one religion because they are, they're eternal laws. It's like if someone studies mathematics or physics, you can't say that only my university has the right mathematics or the right physics. You have to say that I've understood the math. So I think it's the same thing with Jainism, is that once you understand the basic principles, then it's just it can be a part of your life. So on one side, the biggest challenge for me living a Jain lifestyle in America has been diet. It's very difficult here to find good quality vegetarian meals. I've really almost adopted a beans and rice and kind of like a Mexican style of food, because that's the most readily available type of food that's vegetarian. And I haven't been able to spend any time around other, Jains in my area. There's no temples or anything like that. But what has compensated for that is the community. As I mentioned before, I've not ever met a community of religious or any other people that are so welcoming, embracing. From the first time I started studying Jainism, I've had people offering me information, help with questions. So it's been a challenge in the lifestyle aspect, but it has not been a challenge with understanding, since I've had such a welcoming, worldwide audience or, assistance to learn different things.
Wow, brilliant. So basically, मेरा सवाल क्लिंट को ये था कि यूएस में रह के और क्रिश्चियनिटी फैमिली में बॉर्न होके उनको जैनिज्म फॉलो करना डिफिकल्ट रहा था क्या? एंड उसके ऊपर जब बात करने शुरू किया तो उन्होंने कहा कि क्लिंट ने जब सोचा कि जब उसके सवाल का जवाब नहीं आ पाया तो उन्होंने काफी सारे धर्मों का अभ्यास किया, और उन्होंने फिर जब जैनिज्म के से जुड़े वो, तो उनको जब ध्यान में आया कि बहुत जब भी वो उनका बेसिकली बड़ा इशू जो यूएस में हो रहा है इसका नहीं है कि जैन कम्युनिटी से जुड़ना। जैन कम्युनिटी बहुत ज्यादा फोर्थकमिंग है, बहुत ज्यादा जुड़ने में बहुत वार्म है, जल्दी से उनको एम्ब्रेस किया। उनका एक्चुअली बड़ा इशू यूएस में होता है वो है खाने को लेके। तो जैन जो फूड है, फूड को लेके उनकी थोड़ी दिक्कत होती है, एंड उन्होंने फिर इसलिए खूब हद तक वो सिर्फ बीन्स और राइस खाते हैं। तो काफी अप्रिशिएट करने की बात है। हमारे यहाँ इतने ऑप्शन रह के भी हम कहते हैं कि जैन खाने में ये तकलीफ है, वो तकलीफ है, बट क्लिंट यूएस में रह के इतना तकलीफ, वेजिटेरियन फूड मिलने का भी काफी तकलीफ होने के बावजूद वो सिर्फ बीन्स और राइस के ऊपर काफी सारा उनका ये निकालते हैं। तो आई थिंक ये बहुत बड़ी सीखने की बात है कि जैसे कहते हैं ना कि जब चीज हमारे पास होती है तो हम उस चीज को वैल्यू नहीं करते हैं, बट जब चीज जहां नहीं होती है वो तरीके से अगर हम देखें तो उस चीज का एक्चुअली कितना बड़ा हमें एहसास होगा कि हमारे पास कितना अबंडेंस है वो चीज का, तो हमने उस चीज का कितना उपयोग करना चाहिए। आई थिंक ये मेरा लर्निंग रहेगा इस कॉन्वर्सेशन से। So I think it's Chris. I'll get to the third. Clint, I'll get to the third question. Will be about about you mentioned about some things about Jainism you got very attracted to, right? So what are the top 3 or 5 things which you can talk about which really attracted you towards Jainism?
So I would say first, the concept of Anekatavada has really influenced me, has really changed my viewpoint of the world, in that I came from a one-sided faith in Christianity where there was no debate, no questioning. There was only one side, one book, nothing outside of that. So the concept of Anikatavada has helped me to understand that there is a truth, but there's also aspects and elements and different interpretations and perspectives of that truth. So you can't readily or easily say that one person is absolutely wrong or absolutely right, because you really have to understand the context from a deeper standpoint and from your own personal standpoint. So the multi-sidedness was the first thing that really drew me in, because I don't think there's any other concept on earth that is similar to that.
Wow.
Did you want me to go one by one, or did you want to discuss that and then move on?
Yeah, I think we can go one by one, and probably, yeah. I mean, if there is anything specific, more detail, we can take that. But I think Anikantavad is a very interesting, thing about Jainism. I do acknowledge. What other things, would you say, that come to the top of your mind, in terms of what attracted you towards Jainism?
So I think, so actually one of the ways that I initially found out about Jainism was that I read first I read the work of Leo Tolstoy, who is a famous writer in the early 1900s, late 1800s, that was influenced by Mahatma Gandhi. And Tolstoy had the concept of nonviolence, which Christianity, I think, follows a type of pacifism, but it's not really the same as nonviolence, I don't think, in all aspects, in that it's not quite as nuanced. So first reading Tolstoy, and then reading Mahatma Gandhi after that, and Gandhi spoke of ahimsa. And that's another topic I had really never found out about. And initially I thought that ahimsa was a Hindu topic. But as I, dug into the roots and really started to research further, I understood that ahimsa was actually a Jain original concept. So ahimsa was definitely something that really changed my viewpoint, not only of myself, but the creatures that I share the universe with. It's from a Western point of view, from a Christian point of view, you kind of view the human as special. The human has soul or has a connection with God, but the animals and all the non-humans are just beasts, essentially. But with the concept of ahimsa and the soul, that concept has to change, and you have to view all creatures as equal in a way. So that really influenced me a lot. It made sense that it was the truth. And along those lines, I was influenced by the eternal cycles of Jainism. In Christianity, we're taught that we start somewhere unknown, and we have one life, and then we either go to heaven or hell, basically. So you have one shot to make it or break it. Which, I mean, it doesn't really make sense, I don't think. It makes more sense that we have many lives and many bodies, many forms, many personalities, and throughout thousands of years, our character and our soul is conditioned to understand and to live the truth. And obviously there's punishment, severe punishment, and great rewards along that path, just like heaven and hell. But it's not an eternal thing based on one life. So that the concept of myself as an individual soul actually made me view myself differently, because before I viewed myself as a human living on earth for 60 to 80 years, but after understanding Jainism, I understood myself as a soul that has been alive for countless lives. And I understood that it's not what I do as a human, but it's what I do as a soul that's important.
Interesting. So I'll just take a minute to just summarize this for the rest of the group. So मेरा सवाल क्लिंट को ये था कि जैनिज्म की कौन सी टॉप 3 चीजें हैं जिनसे वो अट्रैक्ट हुए जैनिज्म के ऊपर. तो उन्होंने एक बहुत इंटरेस्टिंग चीज बताई हमारा तो खुश नसीब है, सच कहूँ तो, कि हम जैनिज्म में बॉर्न हुए, तो हमको इतना बढ़िया धर्म जब बर्थ से ही मिला है। बट क्लिंट ने एक्चुअली लियो टॉल्स्टॉय की एक बुक पढ़ी थी, जिसमें एक नॉन वायलेंस, अपना अहिंसा का एक रेफरेंस दिया गया था। एंड वो जब पढ़ा तब उनको ध्यान में आया कि उनका एक रेफरेंस महात्मा गांधी को था। एंड जब उन्होंने महात्मा गांधी के बारे में ज्यादा पढ़ना शुरू किया, तो उन्होंने थोड़ा हिंदुइज्म के बारे में पढ़ा। बट जब उन्होंने ज्यादा डीप में पढ़ाई की, तो उनको ध्यान में आया कि एक्चुअली अहिंसा का जो मेन कॉन्सेप्ट है वो जैनिज्म से आया। तो दैट उनका वहां से जैनिज्म के ऊपर एक जो कनेक्ट है, इनिशियल कनेक्ट, वो वहां से आया उनका। तो आप देखिए आई मीन कि कहाँ से कौन सी चीज कैसे जुड़ जाती है। एंड वो एक बड़ी एक चीज उनको काफी इन्फ्लुएंस हुई जैनिज्म के बारे में। दूसरी चीज जो उन्होंने बताई, जो उनको जैनिज्म के बारे में बहुत अच्छी लगी, एंड मुझे लगता है कि काफी जैन इनको बहुत मानते हैं, वो अहिंसा की बात हुई। दूसरी चीज है अनेकांतवाद की। अब अनेकांतवाद में उन्होंने कहा कि जब बाकी धर्म जो देखते हैं, वो बोलते हैं कि सच जो है वो यही सच है और कोई सच नहीं है। और अनेकांतवाद में हमारा जैसे होता है कि कोई भी चीज जब बताई भी गई होती है, तो वो जो ट्रुथ होता है, जो सच होता है, उसके एक अलग पर्सपेक्टिव भी होते हैं। वो एक अलग जैसे जो एक चाइनीज प्रॉवर्ब भी है कि एक 6 ब्लाइंड मैन एंड एन एलिफेंट का जब होता है, तो जब जो अंधा जैसे उस चीज को टच करता है, उस हिसाब से उसके वो सच हो जाता है। बट अगर एक होलिस्टिक व्यू से देखने गए, तो वो सच कुछ और ही होता है। तो वो जो मल्टीप्लिसिटी ऑफ जो ओपिनियन की जो जैनिज्म में जो बहुत स्ट्रॉन्ग एक जो क्वालिटी है, वो आई थिंक क्लिंट को बहुत अच्छी लगी। एंड तीसरी बात जो थी, वो थी क्लिंट का कहना था कि हर काफी धर्मों में ऐसे होता है कि एक ही जन्म है, ये 70-80 साल जो आपके है, इसमें जो करना है, ये वन लाइफ है, इसमें एक मनुष्य जन्म है, इसमें जितना आपको कमाई करना है, जितने मजे लेने मजे ले लो। उन्होंने कहा कि ये चीज उनको कहीं पे जाके उनको क्वेश्चन कर रही थी कि ये सही है गलत है। एंड जैनिज्म के जो पुनर्जन्म का जो जो कॉन्सेप्ट है, वो कॉन्सेप्ट उनको काफी जब उन्होंने बहुत डीप पढ़ा उनमें, तो उनको काफी लगा कि नहीं, ये मेरा सोल है। एंड ये सोल जो मेरी आत्मा है, ये आत्मा ये परमानेंट है। एंड जो आता जाता है, वो सिर्फ मैं इसमें सिर्फ एक वेहिकल हूँ, जो मैं आता हूँ और जाता हूँ। बट एक्चुअली जो मेरा कैरेक्टर है, जो मैं जैसा बंदा हूँ, वो एक्चुअली मेरे सोल से जुड़ा है, वो मेरे शरीर से जुड़ा नहीं है। तो आई थिंक ये बहुत इंटरेस्टिंग पॉइंट्स इन्होंने कहे हैं। तो आई क्विकली मूव टू some other questions. In fact, Clint, very interesting points you made, and I really appreciate that the kind of perspectives you had about the religion. So there are so is there any so I believe I always believe that the three basic tenets, right, which I also very strongly believe in, ahimsa, anikantva and aparigraha, which is non-materialism. So these three, what are your thoughts if they're followed globally? Do you think there'll be lesser crimes, there'll be lesser wars, there'll be lesser materialism in the world over? What are your thoughts around it?
Yeah, and I mean that's part of my interest in Jainism, because there is the individual that comes first. The soul comes first, but also there's the family, there's the neighborhood, there's the nation, there's the world, and there's the universe. So I think that an ideal religion not only helps the individual now and in the future, but it also will help the natural world and the world as a whole. So I don't think that there's any question that if the world followed the tenets even of Jainism, that we would have a much different existence. One thing that is unique or specific to Christianity and even Judaism or Islam is they have the concept of original sin. So when they say that when Adam and Eve were in the Garden of Eden, they were perfect. And then they say that Eve ate the fruit, and because of that, they became imperfect. And because of their imperfection, they say that all of us have inherited this sin. And the way that the Christian explains it is that there's nothing, well, they say that there's nothing we can do about it. We're sinful, we're dust, we're dirt. We just have to live with that. But Jainism, on the other hand, has a personal responsibility perspective. Yes, we do have sin. Yes, we are, muddied by karma, but absolutely we can do something about it. And not only can we, but should we? So I think that Christianity is an inactive religion just waiting on someone else to save you, but Jainism is an active faith that requires the individual to save themselves, essentially. So as far as the world, I don't think there's anything better than personal responsibility. It's so easy to blame others, it's the politician's fault, it's my neighbor's fault, it's my mom's fault, whatever. It's easy to blame someone else, but it's difficult to blame yourself. But if Jainism is nothing else, it's a philosophy of personal responsibility. So I absolutely think it's an important path for the world.
Fantastic. So अगर एकदम शॉर्ट में कहूँ तो क्लिंट का ये कहना है कि अगर जैनिज्म हर कोई फॉलो करे तो उसमें एक बहुत बड़ी चीज ये होती है कि जैनिज्म में पर्सनल रिस्पॉन्सिबिलिटी ये चीज की बड़ा महत्व होता है रादर देन धर्म के ऊपर पर्सनल रिस्पॉन्सिबिलिटी, धर्म से ज्यादा पर्सनल रिस्पॉन्सिबिलिटी ये चीज बड़ी आ जाती है. उसके कारण काफी ये चीज में आई मीन अगर सब ये चीज फॉलो करने जाए तो उससे काफी शांति और ये इसका माहौल बन सके. So, Clint, my next question really to you is, what all have you studied in, what Jain scriptures have you actually gone through, and, what you've learned out of them? I mean, if you could just, of course, there are a couple of things you already mentioned about, but some other things which, will just enlighten the audience, and what changes have they brought into you? So I'll break it down into 3 questions, right? What have you read? What have you learned out of it, and what changes have you made in yourself? That'd be helpful.
So it's not really easy for me to give you a list of actual books I've read, because I've read quite a few different Jain books, but I really haven't memorized the authors or the titles. So I can't really give you a list of books that I've read. Okay. It's interesting in America because, I can go to many bookstores. I can go to Barnes and Noble, to the largest bookstores, but almost never do I see any books on Jainism. I'll see Buddhism, Taoism, Hinduism, all other religions, but very, very rarely is there a book about Jainism. There's only one bookstore that I've ever been to in America that actually has a decent selection of Jain books, and they only have 3 to 5. So most of the research I've done has been online on different libraries. Quora has helped quite a bit in asking questions there, reading people's responses. So I can't really provide a list of books. I mean, I can, but not off the top of my head. But as far as concepts go, I've read about the primary topics, but one of the things that I think has influenced me or begun to influence me the most is the concept of right faith, right knowledge, right action. In Christianity, we emphasize one of those. We either say that you need the right faith, or sometimes we say that you need the right action, or some say that you need knowledge. But what's, I think, unique about Jainism is that it says you need all 3. And, I still have a long ways to go to live up to the Jain way of life, because it's none of us is done until we're perfect. So absolutely I have a lot of progress to make still, but what has begun to help me is by looking at the world and of my life path as not of what I do, but what I think. The concept of samayika has helped me quite a bit in realizing that everything that I do starts with one of my thoughts. So if I'm able to stop, contemplate, concentrate on something I'm about to do before I do it, that can greatly change my actions. And I understand that in order to think properly, I first have to have the knowledge. So the thing that I've focused on the most so far is learning the truth, because I know that I can't change my way of life until I first understand why. So that has been the most helpful in trying to be a better person, trying to follow the Jain ideals is just concentration and contemplation.
Fantastic. I think that's definitely going to be something which I'm going to be learning from you, Clint. So I'll just quickly, brief it up. So क्लिंट को मैंने सवाल पूछा कि जैनिज्म में क्या कौन सी किताबें पढ़ी उन्होंने. मैंने ये पूछा कि उनसे उन्होंने क्या सीखा और उनके लाइफस्टाइल में क्या चेंजेस लाए. So Clint का एक कहना था, and Ramesh bhai, I think it's good for us to note that US में Clint ने खूब सारे libraries में जा चुके हैं, and वहाँ पे उन्होंने देखा कि बुद्धिज्म हो गया, हिंदुइज्म हो गया, ताओइज्म हो गया, ये सब चीजों पे खूब सारे उनको लिटरेचर, बहुत सारी बुक्स मिली, बट अनफॉर्चुनेटली जैनिज्म के ऊपर एक सिर्फ इतने सारे लाइब्रेरी में एक लाइब्रेरी थी जहां उनको जैनिज्म की कुछ बुक्स मिली. सो आई थिंक जो हमारे यहाँ आज जो पार्टिसिपेंट्स है, अगर हम कुछ कर सकते हैं जिससे जैनिज्म के कुछ बुक्स एटलीस्ट वहाँ पे जाने शुरू हुए, आई थिंक वो एक अच्छी स्टार्ट रहेगी कि जहाँ पे तो ये मेरा एक लर्निंग रहा इस चीज का. तो क्लिंट ने कहा कि बुक्स का ज्यादा एक्सेस ना रहने के कारण उन्होंने काफी सारा जो सीखा है वो इंटरनेट पे पढ़ के, और कोरा करके एक वेबसाइट है quora.com. सो आई थिंक वहीं पर आई थिंक नील भाई और क्लिंट का they also got to know each other is what I understand. तो वहाँ पे एक वेबसाइट पे उन्होंने काफी सारे सवाल पूछे, एंड वहाँ पे उनको खूब सारे अच्छे आंसर्स मिले. तो उनके काफी सारे जो क्वेश्चंस थे वो वहाँ पे एड्रेस हुए. तो वहां से उन्होंने खूब सारा जेन्युइन सीखा. तो हमारे लिए एक ये सीखने की बात है कि हमारे पास इतना नॉलेज होने के बावजूद हम उसका इतना यूज करते नहीं है. एंड वहां देखिए कि नॉलेज अवेलेबल नहीं है और वो कितना एफर्ट ले लेके नॉलेज लेना चाह रहे हैं. दूसरी चीज जो है, उन्होंने क्या सीखा इस ये जैनिज्म पढ़ के, उनका ये कहना है कि जैनिज्म में सबसे ज्यादा इंपॉर्टेंट चीज जो उन्होंने सीखी है वो ये है कि मुझे खुद को सही नॉलेज रहना बहुत जरूरी है. कोई भी चीज पे रिएक्ट करने के पहले मुझे वो चीज थोड़ी स्टेप बैक होके समझना है. एंड उस तो उन्होंने कहा कि वो समाइट करते हैं. ये बहुत इंटरेस्टिंग बात है, क्योंकि आज मैं मेरे पूरे जिंदगी में सच कहूँ तो मैंने आज तक कभी समाइट की नहीं है. तो हमारे घर मेरी माता काफी धार्मिक है, वो दिन में 2-3 बार समाइट लेती है, बट इन स्पाइट ऑफ दैट मैंने कभी समाइट ली नहीं है. तो ये आई थिंक बहुत इंटरेस्टिंग चीज है कि हम जो मेडिटेशन बोलते हैं, इतना सब कुछ हम बात करते हैं, तो हमारे यहाँ मेडिटेशन घर से ही शुरू होता है, वो है सामायिक से. तो उसमें वही कहते हैं कि आप खुद के सोचो कि हम कहाँ से शुरू हो रहे हैं, कहाँ जा रहे हैं. तो वो जब से हम दिन शुरू करते हैं तो उससे उनको काफी अच्छा उनको ये रहा है. एंड आई थिंक so that's broadly, I mean, उनका कहना है कि उनका क्या सीखना है इसके ऊपर. So Clint, another question which I have, last question. I think we're going to throw it out for Q&A because we already at 7:40. So I just have one last question. So you talked about the difficulty of food, while following Jainism. But what about the other aspects about socializing, lifestyle choices, work-related choices, and travel and all of that? So how is your day like if you follow all of these? I mean, are there specific things which you're following because of Jainism, and that how is that affected? Food is definitely one thing you covered, but are there other things which you could just throw some light on? It'd be interesting to understand.
Well, I think that anyone that embraces a Jain life will almost automatically have a better life. If you view the importance of truthfulness in work, you're going to have better results with your boss, with your coworkers, with your customers. If they can trust you, then naturally better success is going to come your way. If you don't have a greedy attitude, if you don't have a desire to take what's not yours, again, people are going to trust you more. And when people trust you, more things come your way.
Great.
Personally, other than the diet, I don't see that there's any challenge of following Jainism in the West, because as we've discussed before, Jainism isn't an exclusive ideology. It is, since it's a science just as much as it's in a religion, it integrates with any path, with any type of work, any type of appropriate work, any type of religion, any type of conversation. What's unique about Jainism is, I think that if you look at another religion, another philosophy as a vase of water, you could look at Jainism as the water, because it can take the form of any discussion.
Wow.
So you can actually be discussing a Christian topic or a topic of work, and you can integrate Jain truths within that because the truths are universal. The largest challenge that I've had, and what I'm working on is the pratikramana. Not only knowing Jainism, but making Jainism a part of my day-to-day life. I have the goal to follow the rituals of daily meditation, daily contemplation, because I realize that unless it's part of my thoughts 24/7, I can't truly be a Jain. So So the challenge isn't the outside world, it's inside, and just 100% making it my own. So that's what I'm trying to do now, and hoping I can be successful.
Wow. I think that's the most amazing way of actually closing out the conversation. So I'll just बाकियों के लिए कि मैंने क्लिंट को ये सवाल पूछा कि खाना ये चीज को डिफिकल्टी होती है ऑब्वियसली अमेरिका में फूड को लेके कि वहाँ पे कुछ वेजिटेरियन फूड मिलता है नहीं मिलता है, जैन फूड मिलता है नहीं मिलता है, उसके अलावा उनको कोई दिक्कत होती है क्या काम के लिए, सोशलाइजिंग के लिए, कुछ लाइफस्टाइल चॉइसेस की हो उसको लेके कुछ डिफिकल्टी होती है क्या? तो क्लिंट का ये कहना है कि उनको जैनिज्म खाना छोड़ के कोई और चीज में कभी दिक्कत आई नहीं है। उन्होंने कहा है कि अगर हम जैनिज्म के जो फिलोसफीज है वो अगर हर चीज में लगाए, जैसे हमारे काम को लेके अगर उन्होंने एक एग्जांपल दिया कि अगर हम सच्चाई से अगर कोई चीज करें फॉलो, तो हमारा जो ट्रस्ट लेवल होता है बिजनेस में भी होता है वो हमेशा बढ़ते जाता है। आज हम सच रहे तो ऐसे होता है कि हमारे कोवर्कर्स होते हैं, हमारे सप्लायर्स होते हैं, कस्टमर्स होते हैं, हर कोई हमारे पे ज्यादा ट्रस्ट करने होता है, वो ऐसे ही हमें बेनिफिट हो जाता है। तो ये जो चीज होती है ये क्लिंट का कहना है कि एक्सटर्नल चीजें अफेक्ट ज्यादा नहीं करती, ये बहुत चीजें जैनिज्म की जो है वो इंटरनल है, जो हमने खुद अंदर से अडॉप्ट करनी होती है। हम खूब बार कोई भी चीज के लिए बाहर से इन्फ्लुएंस देने चाहते हैं, बट सच में जो है जैनिज्म का जो बड़ी बात है जो क्लिंट का कहना है वो है कि हम अंदर से इस चीज को कैसे अडॉप्ट करें। आई थिंक वो एक बहुत बड़ी चीज है। एंड क्लिंट ने कहते कहते ये कहा है कि आज वो समाइक तो करते ही है, बट वो अभी प्रतिक्रमण करना भी सीख रहे हैं। एंड वो प्रतिक्रमण वो कह रहे हैं कि एक अभी वो पहले समझ चुके हैं जैनिज्म के बारे में, अब वो बोल रहे हैं कि एक जो रिचुअल जो होती है जैन की वो फॉलो करना शुरू कर रहे हैं, जिससे वो कहते हैं कि आज सवेरे से लेकर शाम तक मेरे दिमाग में हमेशा वो चीज याद रहे मुझे कि मुझे ये फिलोसफी जो जैनिज्म की है कि कैसे मुझे सच रहना है, कैसे मुझे मेडिटेट करना है, कैसे मुझे थिंक बैक करके जवाब देना है, ये सब चीजें ऑटोमेटिकली मेरे पूरे लाइफ में आ जाए। So I think with this, I think Clint, I think that's great, Ramesh bhai. I think we'll get to questions. Will that be okay? I think
I will start with the questions.
Yes,
So
please.
first I'll start with this is the first attempt we try to make it to all the audience. हमने कोशिश की है कि अपने जीवन में आप देखते हैं जब माता पिता बोलते हैं तो लड़का सुनता नहीं है, बट जब बाहर वाले बोलते हैं तो लड़का सुनता है। तो एक छोटी कोशिश है कि हम जब घर में बोलते हैं कि सामायिक करो, प्रतिक्रमण करो, तो कोई सुनता नहीं है। तो एक कोशिश की है कि कोई बाहर वाला बोले तो शायद हो सकता है कोई सामायिक और प्रतिक्रमण के ऊपर रेस्पेक्ट करे और सुने। तो एक हमारी छोटी कोशिश है। कमिंग टू क्लिंट, आई जस्ट वांट टू टेल यू देयर इज अ e-library which is initiated in America by Mr. Praveen N. Shah. He is going to be coming on our panel on 7th. Every single book has been digitized and it is on the platform. I will share with you offline what is that. So you don't need to go to any bookstall, any library. It is always there, and the site is very well maintained, absolutely with all the metrics done by US. So I will send you the site. I'm sure Neil Star knows, and he's you have attended a few sessions, so please attend on the 7th. I will introduce you to the founder, and he will give you the access.
Okay, thank you.
The other question, Clint, of mine to you, which is more on a lighter, not on the Democratic and Republicans. I want to tell you, knowing Donald Trump, how do you think the karma theory has worked on Donald Trump?
So say the last part again. How has what worked?
So where do you think how the karma theory has worked on Donald Trump in the system-driven, entire process-driven U.S. Constitution? How did Donald Trump manage to become a president? I mean, that's not a wrong thing. Everybody chose him. But what do you think? There is some karma theory work behind him?
Well, I think if we look at the theory of karma, we know that everyone is not completely good or completely bad. Some people come into this life with good karma in some elements. Obviously, Donald Trump has received good karma through his financial and his social and different things like that. But maybe he has some bad karma with controlling his anger and his pride and things like that. So, I mean, I see Donald Trump as a continuation of many politicians. I think that Donald Trump is more bold and, rash than a lot of politicians, but I don't honestly think he's different than most. In America, he is not necessarily what we needed, but he is a symptom of where we're at as a nation. We're still a young nation. We're still gaining our identity, but we're going through some growing pains right now. So there's a definite divide, and sometimes in politics, unfortunately, because all politics aren't Jain, we have to choose between the lesser of evils. So I think that's what Donald Trump is he's a lesser of evils, really. So that's.
I think, Clint, you have answered this very diplomatically, and you have answered in a Jainism way of answering the question. I was expecting typically here and there, but you answered it very balanced way, and I think not only Jainism way of thinking you have brought into this question. I really, really, truly appreciate it. Another question of me to Clint is, Clint, I'm sure you would have read the book called Yuval Noah Harari, Sapiens. He has come out with 3 books. The whole world follows him. I am one of the big fan and the follower. My dream is to bring one day to him on this platform, which I'm sure I will bring him. That's my ultimate goal, that what I want to achieve on this platform. I will definitely bring it. I have not put the timeline, but I'll sure bring it, and I'll discuss Jainism with him. What do you think his theory is, if you have read this book?
Actually, I haven't read the book. Neil, you're talking about the book Sapiens?
Yes.
Yeah, I haven't. Well, I've read the book. Well, I've read a description of the book, but I haven't read the whole book, so I can't really speak on it too much. Okay. Neil and I did have a conversation about the topic a few nights ago, and I do think it's fascinating how, well, you look at Western science or different explanations of humans, and we see in Western science, we have evolution, which is, they say that we started from an amoeba and we went to an ape and we've now become humans. But I think if you consider the cyclic view within Jainism, you see that life is not always in one direction up. There's up, there's down, there's stalling, there's many different cycles. And if I understand the book Sapiens properly, that's what he's going into, is how humans change and society has to react to the changing humans, and it's a back and forth process. So I can't speak too much on the book, but I think it's a pretty accurate and pretty important topic in general, the changing of humanity.
So my quest of reading Sapien and Jainism is what this platform has been brought, because whenever I discuss with Neil or some people, including my wife, whenever I told the concept of books in the Sapien, they said, what are you reading need? It is already there in Agam. So one day I wish, why are you so big follower of Sapien, where you are not even giving importance to Agam and you're not reading the scripture? It is already there. I mean, he's just putting it in English in a nice way, so you have become a big follower. And that's my personal quest. So I request all the attendees to come out with more questions. Please interact. That's the way American do. American learn. They just don't listen. But Indian culture is, we just listen. We are very afraid of asking questions or interacting or in the discussion. I request everybody to change, because with each question, each interaction, one learn from each other. So the way you look at things, we learn, and the way look at things, 100 people looks at it and they learn. This is a small attempt, and thank you so much, Clint. And last interesting question, I leave it to Neil, because he always come out something with very special questions where everybody can learn from his question. Neil, bye.
Yeah, sure. I can see one question, Clint, that's from the audience, that how the karma theory can be applied in the US or other non-Jain nations is one of the questions we've asked by one of the audience.
So what's unique about America is, well, okay, so there's a book called The Realization of Life by Rabindra Tagore, and he discusses the contrast between India and America. And he talks about how India has had its focus on the spirit, on what's inside. And because of that, it's suffered on the outside. And on the flip side, America has focused on what's outside. We've focused on invention and creation and material wealth and our economy, but we've neglected our spirit. So how karma theory can be applied to the USA? I think first off, in order to better utilize karma theory, you have to understand yourself as soul. or at the very least, you have to see yourself as something that can be improved through effort in thought and action. And what's interesting is I do see a large shift in people's viewpoints here. You know, we've had various, Indian teachers that have influenced us over the years. And I do see a shift from, not necessarily a complete shift away from the material point of view, but almost a synthesis of the two. I think if you look at Osho and his success in the United States, I think what he did unique was that he had a synthesis of extreme materialism with spirituality. And that's kind of what you see about America, is we're a very materialistic nation. So at the end of the day, we need to move away from materialism, and we need to move towards the quest of joy, the quest of truth, the quest of peace, and realize that materialism is all this life. There's nothing that you can take with you as far as material goes, but what you can take with you is your improvement on your soul, with the knowledge that you learn, with the relationships that you make with other souls. So I think to simplify is we need to turn our attention inside and stop being so concerned with the economy, essentially.
Wow, fantastic. So just audience के लिए मैं just कहना चाहूँगा कि क्लिंट का ये कहना है कि रविंद्रनाथ टैगोर की कोई एक बुक थी, उनमें उन्होंने कहा था कि उन्होंने एक कंपैरिजन दिया था कि एक इंडियन स्टाइल ऑफ, आई वुड से इंडिया और यूएस और वेस्टर्न कल्चर का डिफरेंस बताया था उन्होंने. तो उन्होंने कहा था कि इंडिया में जनरली हमारा इंटरनल जो पीस होता है या इंटरनल एक थॉट होता है उसके ऊपर ज्यादा फोकस होता है, इसलिए हम लोग के ऊपर काफी बाहर से काफी अत्याचार हुआ है एज ए कल्चर. एंड वही अगर वेस्टर्न कल्चर देखेंगे तो वहां पे ज्यादा फोकस इनका हमेशा रहा है एक्सटर्नल चीजों के ऊपर, कि अभी परिग्रह हो गया या फिर मेरे को खुशी कैसे होगी, मेरी खुशी, मुझे बाहर से कैसे कोई चीज अच्छी रहेगी, उसके ऊपर हमेशा फोकस रहा है. तो क्लिंट ने कहा कि अभी उसके कारण वहाँ के लोगों को अंदर के कुछ काफी चीजें होती है, उन चीज की कमी महसूस हुई है. एंड अभी अगर देखोगे तो धीरे धीरे यूएस वगैरह में, वेस्टर्न कल्चर में ये रियलाइजेशन आनी शुरू हुई है उनको. एंड वहाँ पे काफी सारे इंडियन लोग प्रचार जब करते हैं, बातें करते हैं इसकी इम्पोर्टेंस के बारे में, तो आई थिंक उसके कारण देख रहे हैं कि काफी सारे लोग इंडियन कल्चर और इंडियन जो फिलोसफी है उसको अप्रिशिएट करने जा रहे हैं. So I think that's a very interesting question and a very I think Neil, anything else you would like to translate on what he just mentioned, or?
No, perfectly fine.
So right, so Clint, another question is how do you see the role of meditation in your practice of Jainism versus reciting of the slokas? How do I put slokas? You know the slokas, right? So
Yeah. So what I feel about meditation is that, well, there's several things that I think about meditation, but one of them is that meditation teaches us to be patient. Even if we don't receive any spiritual or, knowledge through our meditation process, it teaches us to sit and be still for 45 to 48 minutes. This I think is especially valid now in our world because we all have cell phones that we're looking for our dopamine every 5 seconds. We have TV, we have video games, we have a constant stream of things looking for our attention. So meditation is almost the opposite of our modern world. It teaches us to sit in silence, to be content with ourselves, and to contemplate where we are, where we've been, and where we're going. So I really think that that's one element of meditation, that it teaches us patience. I also think that it's important because it helps us understand what we've processed. We can bring in a lot of information through our senses, but if we don't take the time to think about it, to meditate on it, to contemplate it, we don't really retain it. So I think that meditation is a great way to retain what we read about. Also, I think that there's some spiritual elements about meditation where we can receive knowledge that we can't receive through our normal senses. So I think that there's many things that are important about meditation. And I don't know the mantras really well, but I do make a practice of, whenever I'm about to write or read, I do make a practice of listening to the Navkar mantra. And I find that it's very soothing, very, I like to identify my search with the mantra, because it puts me in a certain state of mind that makes me relaxed, makes me focused, and helps me to better utilize my time.
Great. We have a couple of other questions. One of them being, have you come across any Jain monks? And another question related to that is, have you ever been to India and visited any of the Indian theatres? That's another question you had.
So I have not come to India yet. I do plan to come hopefully very soon. And when I come, I hope to spend a fair amount of time in learning and traveling to the different temples. And I really can't wait till I am able to come to India. I have not met any, well, not that I know of. I don't think I've met any monks. I've actually never even met a Jain in person. The closest I've been to meeting a Jain in person is I have some Jain friends in San Francisco that have helped me quite a bit with sending me books and answering questions when I was first starting off. But that's the closest. I never met them, only on the phone, but that's the closest I've actually come to meeting a Jain. So I do look forward to that. And I realize that our destiny is our own. No one can make our future for us. No one can make our life better. No one can make our life worse than ourselves. But I do acknowledge that community and good association is absolutely vital. We have to have examples of people that are at least as good or better than us, ideally better. Because when we surround ourselves with people that are better than us, we naturally want to come to their level. If we surround ourselves with people that are lower than us on the spiritual ladder, then we go to their level. So I completely acknowledge that for myself and my own soul, I have to become close friends and make my life surrounded by people that are better than me. And that's why I look forward to coming to India to be able to bring my growth to the next level.
Great. In fact, with so many people from so many different cities right now over here, I'm sure there'll be a lot of people here to help you, when you're here in India. So I think one of the questions was how Clint got introduced to Jainism, and I think that was answered during the discussion was about the Leo Tolstoy and the Gandhi, and then on that. So I think I'll get to the next question. So I think there was another thing about that. Do you believe in color paradigm or? So one question is interesting question. Do you believe that karma is a paradigm or actually such particles exist?
Well, first off, I believe in universal good and evil. I believe in universal law. And I see that if you're a scientist and you look in nature, you see math, you see fractals, you see concrete law. And I don't think it's any different for moral law. I believe that karma is a real science. I believe that what we call luck in the world today is actually karma.
Interesting point.
Okay. I believe that what we see as luck is actually karma. I believe that karma not only pays off in our next life, but it pays off today. I might do something this afternoon that will affect me 5 minutes later, 10 minutes later, the next day. You often see these videos or memes online where someone does something and then 10 minutes later, the same exact thing is done to them. And I think that's a real life example of karma paying off right away. It's not always easy to say when and where it will pay off, but I absolutely believe that it's a real object and a real law in the universe.
Interesting. So, Ramesh, I think there are a few more questions. Do you want to take them?
Darshan,
No, we will do it offline. We will ask, we'll take the permission of Clint to join them in the group, and I'm sure all the questions people who have can put it. Neil bhai, one last question. A few which you can summary it up, and then I have some announcement, and then I can take your class.
Ramesh Bhai, he has written the whole jailer book, which is written by our Abhay Shekhar Mara sahab, and which is very popular amongst Jain. So he has read the whole jailer book, which is based on the karma. And I appreciate Clint that in spite of not knowing proper pronunciation of Navkar Mantra, he practices meditation on Navkar Mantra, which we had done in our very second webinar. So yes, so I would like to ask one question, Clint, that how did your faith on many lives, or I would say reincarnation, got stronger?
So I think first off, when a human is, we're all curious. If we're told something as the truth, if it's not the truth, we question it internally. We may accept it externally, but we always have a little bit of doubt. If it's not the truth, we will always have doubt. So as I mentioned before, being taught that I don't have a soul, I only have one life, I accepted it, but there was always a little bit of doubt. So as I started to, think about what's logical, everywhere in nature, I see a tree, I see it be born, I see it live, I see it die, and I see it be born again. Every day, the sun goes up, the sun goes down. The seasons come, the seasons go. So there's nowhere in nature that there is not a constant cycle. So why would my soul and my life be any different? Why would I go to sleep and wake up but not die and live again? So first off, from a logical element, I see reincarnation as logical. There's also been some work done in America from a doctor named Dr. Ian Stevenson, who has made an effort to prove reincarnation scientifically. And before I found Jainism, I found his work. And basically what he does is he studies past life memories in children. And he researched almost around 2,000 children from all over the world, from Christian households, from Hindu, from Islam, everything. And these children were having very vivid and detailed memories of past lives. They would name names, they would tell you how they died, they would tell you who their family was, everything. And all of this was matching up with his research. So I view that as the closest the world has today to scientific proof for reincarnation. And I mean, there's more, but that was really what cemented and made me want to look further and really to understand it. I don't think the concept of reincarnation can be defeated from a logical standpoint, and I think that soon we will have real life scientific proof that reincarnation is true. So that's what really started me on that.
I want Clint to. I want to tell you, Clint, that Michami Dukkanam, we apologize because we put you in the spot. We all expected that you know everything about Jainism, knowing that you just went there for 4 years of your experience, and we were expecting too much for you. We put it on the spot. I know the difficulty you want to answer by all the complicated question of Jainism, and we want to learn from you. I really ask you, Michami Dukkanam, we just wanted to bring this different angle of how people will respect doing Samayak and Pratikaman coming from you. That was a small attempt done by us. We really appreciate. And to tell you frankly to all the audience and to the panelists that I had a vested interest in this, which as they say, any business you do, you have a vested interest. And today's my vested interest was, helping my sister to see if some youngster who doesn't join. It's not that my children are still aligned with me. I will be trying making the best effort. My wife does it in Darshan House. My sisters make it. I am sure with this small attempt, we can bring some changes. If they can change, if they don't change, that's fine. But at least they will respect and allow the women what they are doing, and they understand them much better. if that small attempt, if that I have achieved, I think I have been blessed. Thank you so much, Clint, for joining this. I'm sure in future I request you to join more of this session, and you will enjoy. Any difficulties about knowing about Jainism or the monks or anything, the whole panel is open for you. You're welcome with wholehearted to learn more, get the books, understand more, whichever one you to follow, or whenever you visit India, this whole platform will be available for you to connect to you, reach to the people, whichever temple you want to visit it. You will be the special guest. I'm sure wherever you go, people will welcome you. I can assure you that much by coming you on this platform. Thank you so much, Clint. I will ask Neil Bhai to at least take a few of this topic, which is very interesting, and then probably we'll end it. Thank you, Darshan, a lot. In fact, I connected him only 1:30 in the afternoon. He didn't know what's in store. I just pulled him, and that's typically my style, which many people don't like it, but I keep using it because Neil Bhai also will agree.
दर्शन भाई ने बहुत अच्छा सेशन पूरा मैनेज किया, इंग्लिश में और हिंदी में वापस ट्रांसलेशन करके, जिससे हमारे जितने भी मित्र वर्ग हैं वो बहुत ही अच्छे से जुड़ सके. तो बहुत बहुत धन्यवाद दर्शन.
शुक्रिया. In fact,
thank you, Clint.
I should appreciate Clint.
You.
I think, Clint, you've been a great speaker, and thank you for all your experience.
Thank you, Clint, and Michami Dukadam.